My name is Vreel, and I have the unfortunate privilege of being the official record keeper for the Galactic Council of Sentient Species. I say unfortunate, because on the day Earth was formally voted out of interstellar civilization, I was the one sitting front row, stylus in hand, watching the most embarrassing thing in 5,000 years of recorded galactic history unfold in real time. Let me paint you a picture. Not a flattering one. The Grand Assembly Chamber of Zyros Prime held 412 delegate seats, all filled with the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. You had the Thuric, massive insectoid creatures who communicated through vibrating their carapace plates, producing a sound somewhere between a cello and a garbage disposal. You had the Veloxi, gas-dwelling philosophers who spent 90% of their time floating inside pressurized suits and the other 10% arguing about the definition of consciousness. And then you had the Mora Collective, 7 beings sharing one nervous system, who voted on everything by committee, even when the committee was technically a single organism. These were the giants of civilization. The architects of intergalactic peace. And they had all gathered today, to kick out the humans. Council Chair Brenok Shal, a Thuric elder whose carapace was so ancient it had turned the color of burnt copper, called the session to order with a sound like a tuba being slowly crushed under a boulder. The chamber went silent. The matter before this council, Brenok announced through the translation relay, is the formal exclusion of the species designate Homo sapiens, commonly known as humans, from the Galactic Council of Sentient Species. Motion tabled by the Veloxi delegation. Seconded by the Mora Collective. We will now hear the charges. Charges. They had charges. I was already writing faster than my 6 fingers could manage. Delegate Fayura OSS of the Veloxi floated gracefully to the podium, her pressurized suit glowing a faint violet. She cleared whatever the Veloxi had instead of a throat. In the past 43 galactic cycles, she began, the human species has violated diplomatic protocol on 612 separate occasions. They have introduced 17 foodstuffs into shared diplomatic spaces without prior allergy clearance. Their ambassador, one Petra Mwangi, responded to a formal peace declaration by asking, and I quote directly from the record, whether the free snacks were included. Murmuring rippled through the chamber. Carapace plates rattled with Thuric laughter. Fayura raised a hand. There is more. Human Representative Dako Reigns, during the signing of the Third Orbital Trade Accord, spent 40 minutes explaining to the Mora Collective the rules of a card game called poker. He then proceeded to win 32,000 credits from the delegation of a species that shares one nervous system, calling it, again directly from the record, the most unfair advantage I have ever exploited. Full chamber laughter now. Even I was struggling to keep a straight face, and I am professionally required to have no face whatsoever during sessions. Furthermore, Fayura continued, raising her voice above the noise, the humans have, on 3 separate occasions, convinced Thuric warships to stand down not through diplomacy or military force, but through a psychological technique they refer to as, talking absolute nonsense with complete confidence until the other party gives up. Brenok Shal personally had to bang the session gavel 6 times to restore order. And then the chamber doors opened. You have to understand something about the Grand Assembly Chamber. Those doors were 6 meters tall, carved from the bones of the first Thuric ancestors, reinforced with Veloxi alloy, and sealed by a locking mechanism that required 3 separate biometric confirmations from 3 different species to open from outside. They opened anyway. In walked Petra Mwangi, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. She was a small woman, brown-skinned, with close-cropped silver hair and an expression that said she had absolutely read the agenda for today's meeting and found it mildly amusing. Behind her walked Dako Reigns, tall and unhurried, carrying a coffee thermos like it was a weapon of mass negotiation. Beside him was a younger woman nobody in the chamber had seen before, who introduced herself to no one in particular as Lena Brix, junior diplomatic attaché, and immediately began setting up a portable projector on the delegate floor. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Not even the Mora Collective, which required committee consensus just to breathe. Petra walked up to the podium, gently moved Phi-Ura OSS to the side with one hand, tapped the microphone twice, and smiled. "Sorry we're late," she said. Dako got into a debate with a Thuric traffic officer about right-of-way on the landing deck. He won. The officer is now reconsidering his career choices. Brenok Shal's carapace rattled in a way that the translation relay interpreted as, "You are not permitted to be here. This session concerns your expulsion." Petra nodded. "Yes, I know. We read the invitation. That's why we came. Now, I have been the official record keeper of the Galactic Council for 31 galactic cycles. I have documented wars, treaties, the collapse of 2 star systems, and one extremely awkward situation involving a Veloxy philosopher and a malfunctioning gravity couch. I have seen things that would make lesser beings request immediate psychological evaluation. But I had never, not once in 31 cycles, seen a species walk into their own expulsion hearing and ask for the floor. Petra Mwangi stood at that podium like she owned the building, the planet it sat on, and possibly the star system surrounding it. She did not fidget. She did not apologize beyond the brief, almost theatrical "sorry we are late." She simply looked out at 412 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy and waited, the way a person waits for a movie to start when they already know the ending. Brenok Shal tried again. His carapace produced a deep, rattling frequency that the translation relay rendered as, "Ambassador Mwangi, this council has convened to formalize your species' exclusion. You have no standing to address this body." Petra tilted her head slightly. "With respect, Chair Shal, that motion has not yet passed. Until it does, Earth remains a member state. And member states have the right to respond to charges before a vote is taken. Article 14, Section 3 of the Galactic Charter." "Dako, what page?" Dako Rains, without looking up from his coffee thermos, said, "Page 407. Also footnote 9, which is honestly the more damning one for your argument, Chair Shal, not ours." The Mora collective shifted in their 7 bodies simultaneously, which meant they were already having an internal argument about whether Dako was correct. Spoiler, he was. I checked my own records in real time. Footnote 9 was, in fact, extremely relevant, and nobody in this chamber had apparently read it in 800 years. Brenok Shal made a sound that the translation relay, after a 3-second processing pause, simply rendered as, "Fine." Petra smiled. "Thank you." She nodded at Lena Brix, who had, in the time everyone was arguing about parliamentary procedure, finished setting up the portable projector and loaded what appeared to be a full presentation. Title slide and everything. It read, in clean, simple lettering, "Why you need US more than you are willing to admit." Presented by Earth Delegation. Refreshments not provided. The Thuric delegate 3 rows back made a sound that my translation relay processed as either extreme discomfort or reluctant appreciation. Possibly both. Petra clicked to the first slide. "In the past 43 galactic cycles," she began, deliberately mirroring Phi-Ura OSS's opening, "Earth has violated diplomatic protocol on 612 occasions. Delegate OSS is correct. We are not disputing the number. We counted ourselves." Dako actually made a spreadsheet. Dako raised his thermos in quiet acknowledgement. "What we would like to add," Petra continued, "is context. Of those 612 incidents, 231 resulted in successful de-escalation of conflicts that this council had already classified as unresolvable. 47 prevented open military engagements between member states. And 1, specifically the incident involving the Thuric Third Fleet and what our ambassador at the time called talking absolute nonsense with complete confidence, prevented the destruction of Veloxy Station 9 and approximately 400,000 lives aboard it." The chamber went very, very quiet. Phi-Ura OSS slowly turned to look at Petra. Her pressurized suit flickered from violet to a pale, uncertain yellow. "We cross-referenced your own incident reports," Petra said, clicking to the next slide, which was dense with data and footnotes and exactly the kind of information that council members would need to spend 3 weeks reading carefully before voting on anything. Every case flagged as a human protocol violation, we matched to the outcome log. You have been measuring our methods. You have not been measuring our results. Dako finally looked up from his thermos. You built a system optimized for species that think the same way. Predictable. Structured. Rule-following. And then you spent 43 cycles being baffled that the one species that does not think that way kept accidentally solving problems your system could not handle. Lena Brix, the junior attaché who had said nothing until this moment, added quietly from her seat near the projector, the poker game, for example. The Mora Collective walked away from that table with a non-binding verbal agreement on 3 border disputes that had been deadlocked for 6 cycles. Dako just did not put that part in the official report because it felt impolite to mention winning and diplomacy in the same sentence. All 7 bodies of the Mora Collective turned to look at each other. Which, again, was one organism having a very complicated internal moment. Brenok Shal was silent for a long time. His ancient copper carapace did not rattle. It did not vibrate. It sat completely still, which in Thuric body language means something between deep thought and profound embarrassment. Then he said, slowly, "You came here knowing we intended to remove you." "Yes," Petra said. "And you came anyway. We find that is usually when showing up matters most." Another silence. Longer this time. Then, from somewhere in the back rows, a single Thuric delegate let out a low, resonant hum. Another joined. Then another. The Veloxy suits shifted from uncertain yellow to warm amber. The Mora Collective straightened all 7 bodies at once. The vote, when it finally came, was 411 to 1 in favor of Earth remaining in the Galactic Council. The one dissenting vote, as I noted carefully in my official record, was cast by a Thuric traffic officer who had apparently been given emergency delegate credentials by someone in administration and was still upset about the landing deck argument. Petra shook hands with Brenok Shal on the way out. Dako finished his coffee. Lena packed up the projector. And I, Vreel, official record keeper of the Galactic Council of Sentient Species, sat in my chair long after the chamber emptied, staring at my notes, thinking about footnote 9 on page 407, and the extraordinary, baffling, maddening fact that the most disruptive species in galactic history had just saved their own seat at the table by simply reading the document everyone else had forgotten existed. Humans. I will never understand them. I am also fairly certain they prefer it that way. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.